Welcome to episode 17 on how to create a Terminator effect. And this is where we left off last time in episode 16. And it's starting to look quite interesting, but it still doesn't look very realistic. Especially the edges here are very jagged. So if we look here, you can see this jaggedness and the facets in the mesh. Let me start the screen recording. Okay. So this time I want to address the problem with the mesh. So let's go to ZBrush. And this is the mesh we had before. And let me clear the mask by holding Control and dragging. And we can see here that this is indeed quite rough and jagged. So to solve this, I'm going to use the Dynamesh feature. So go to Geometry and here Dynamesh. And select Polish, and this will polish out the edges a bit. And we also want a higher resolution, so I'm going to double this from 1024 to 2048. So I type here 2048. And now to apply this, then we hold Control and drag a rectangle, just as when we cleared the mask, but this time because the mask is cleared it will have a different effect when we do the Dynamesh. And this takes a few seconds. Okay, so we can see here that this looks much nicer, especially these edges here. So now we want to export this, so let us again mask out the area. And we also want to keep a little bit of a margin around so that we can easily blend this in when we comp this on top of our plate. So hold Control to mask out as usual. And then add a little bit of a margin. Okay, I think this looks good. And now let's hide the outside faces of the mesh by going to Visibility and Hide Point. And then delete the hidden points by going to Geometry, Modify Topology and delete Hidden. Now we can export this mesh. So let's go to Export and call this Patch version 2. Save. Okay, so let's look at this inside of Nuke. Here I cleaned up a little bit and moved the patch part to the right side and added a little note to say that this is the patch. And I will now replace this mesh by double clicking on Regeo and here's change from version 1 to version 2. And you can see that this looks much nicer than before. The face normals are all flat, so we really need to smooth the normals. And to fix that, let's go to Houdini. And this is what we were working on before, so I will add now a new geometry by pressing Tab and type Geo for geometry, and add this and call this the patch, and press I to go inside, and then Tab and File and call this patch. Select it, press P for parameters, and then here unselect show sequences as one entry, because that will combine all the versions as one image sequence. So uncheck this mark, and now select patch version 2 and accept. And now we can see the patch version 2 here, and hide with P. And if you look at the geometry spreadsheet, we can see that we have point position and color and mask information from ZBrush. And in the vertex and primitive and detail we don't have much more. So we do want to add the normals in here. So I press Tab and type normal and put this below and connect this to the patch, and press P for parameters. And let's look at this scene view to see the result. Zoom in. I'm also going to hide the face, so I go up here, hide other objects. And now we want to pay attention to this crease part. So first select the display flag on the normal, and here we can tweak the cusp angle, and that is what part will be creased and what part will be smooth. So if we try different values here, we could smooth everything, but let's say, I think the default of 60 is good enough for us. And hide. And now we want to save this one. So press Tab, type ROP and select ROP geometry output and put this after. And then select, press P for parameters and select the file name. Let's call this patch-n for normal version 2. So this is the one with the normals. And accept. And save to disk. And now let's go back to Nuke. And change here to be patch-n for normal. And that is the new version. I just reload just to be sure. Okay. So it's not a big difference, but this is slightly better. And I think this is good enough for us to work with. So see you in episode 18, and don't forget to like and subscribe.